And we are live. We are live this Sunday night with Mad Monster here, Sergeant Horror, and Phantasm420. How's things going tonight?
Very, very well. Thank you. How are you doing? It's been a minute.
It's been a minute. I have been working on some top secret projects with some friends, getting ready for Mad Monster Arizona. And
Exciting.
this is going to be wild.
I think so. It's going to be my first Mad Monster party, actually. So I worked at the Mad Monsters Halloween store, and I've been here on the show a couple of times, but it'll be my first Mad Monster party. I'm really looking forward to it.
It will be a very interesting experience because it's just going to be exciting. I mean, I feel the energy in the air. We got some exciting things going on. I got some calls today, got some behind the scenes gouge on stuff. Liz says, "Hi, guys. Hi, Liz.
Hi.
Everybody watching and tuning in, hit that like button. Leave us a comment. Today, we're going to talk about what are you going to do to celebrate Halloween this year? And then we're going to tell you a little bit about some breaking news that I learned about with Mad Monster that's going down next Saturday.
Oh, breaking
I,
news even to me.
I have learned exclusively here, you heard it first, right? Right. Kane Hodder's been working on a top secret project.
Ooh.
And they're going to debut the trailer, a teaser trailer, however you want to say it, at his panel on Saturday with the director. And Mark Richardson's involved in it. Buddy of mine, Tony Cadwell's involved in it.
Oh,
And
wow.
Kane Hodder is. And it's going to be, an exclusive sneak peek before it's even loaded up to the internet. The people at that panel will get to see a new Kane Hodder project.
Oh, that's totally exciting. And what a way to celebrate, especially no horror conventions, no kind of any conventions this year so far. So this one will go off with a bang. That's exciting.
Levi says hi. Hello, Levi.
Hi, Levi.
Jim says, "What's up, Sarge and Phantasm? What's
Hey.
going on, Jim?" Daniel says, "Hello, what's up, Sarge? Hey, Daniel." Julia says, "Hi, hi."
Hey, Miyagi.
Kane's the best, Jason. I agree. And Daniel said, "And hello to Phantasm 420." Well,
Hi.
I'm excited to see that teaser trailer out there. At that, we're at a time where we need some horror news because it's just not much horror news going on out there. It's it's
No.
it really isn't. It's one of those situations where it just seems like not much is going on.
Oh, definitely. Not to mention, Kane Hodder is just absolutely like the coolest person in horror. I mean, there's plenty of really cool people in horror cast and crew, but he's so freaking awesome. I just finished watching earlier today for like the second time the documentary about him, To Hell and Back. And at Monsterpalooza last year, he had such an awesome experience with my son. My son has a shirt from Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, that says, "You're fucked." So Kane got a kick out of that and picked him up and took him across to Danielle Harris just to show off my son's shirt. So he's awesome. I have some Hatchet merchandise that I want Victor Crowley to sign because I think so highly of Hatchet and Adam Green. And it was like the rebirth of the slasher film. So I'm really excited altogether just to even be where Kane Hodder is at. So this is really cool.
Yeah, and we're going to be going live from Mad Monster in Arizona. If you haven't seen me before in person, come and let's hang out. I party like a rock star. It's going to be fun. I mean, and we're going to be safe. I mean, a lot of people are concerned with COVID. I know that Mad Monster has been working with the city out there in Phoenix and Glendale to ensure that the state of the art safety procedures are in place, including, temperature checks, hand sanitizers. I mean, people were wearing masks. I know people were blowing up asking about the photo op opportunities. They're going to be a green screen separation in between the two, so you can't see it on your final photo op. And they're also going to have, and I hardly ever get just crazy about a photo op because you see it, you work with these guys, you're like, oh, I got 50 million pictures, but I'm excited because this is the first time ever a Jason X photo op.
Hell yeah. That's so cool. That movie got so much grief from so many people for so long. It's an awesome, awesome horror movie. I love the kills in that movie.
Daniel says he's watching Phantasm 3 right now.
Excellent choice. Any
Andrea
fantastic.
says, hi, guys. Hi, Andrea.
Hey.
Chase says, hi. Hi, Chase.
Hello.
I'm watching Halloween H2O.
Love that one.
Scott says, hello. Hello, Scott. And
Hey,
the other
Mad Monster fan.
to talk about is, what is everybody doing to celebrate Halloween this year? What are you guys going to be doing? Do you have plans and suggestions?
Well, I know myself, I'm going to be actually vending at an event called Patches and Pins in Orange County, and we're going to have something going on Halloween night. So it'll be cool to get dressed up, and of course we're safe there too. We wear masks, and we have like plexiglass partitions and hand sanitizer everywhere and social distancing. So that's what I'm going to do. I feel really, really bad about kids and trick-or-treating. I would usually set up a whole haunted house in like experience in front of my place and hand out full-size bars. So I feel really bad for the kids this year, but I hope that they still get some sort of Halloween adventure someplace.
Levi says that is going to be awesome seeing Kane as Uber Jason. Carlos says, can't wait for next weekend. Come hang out, Carlos. It's going to be fun. Bruno says, I am from Brazil. That's okay, Bruno. You could watch us here on the live feed. Richard says, watching Batch right now. Hi, all. Hi.
Hey, everybody's in that Halloween movie mood. I dig it.
This is my first Mad Monster as a stift. I'm working a haunt, actually, Katrina. Can't wait to attend my first Mad Monster party coming from SoCal. SoCal is going to be fun.
Same here, from LA.
Halloween H2O was horrible. Oh, my goodness.
I disagree. I respectfully disagree.
Going to Factory of Terror in Air, Pennsylvania. And Lucas says, look up Leo Westside. Oh, good no. Are you guys getting Scream Factory Friday the 13th box set? I also saw Ghost Ship Scream Factory Blu-ray coming out. I don't buy a lot of those extra Blu-rays that's coming out because, I mean, on my hard drive, I got so much like behind the scenes exclusive stuff already. But yeah. I can see where people get it. It's tempting, but I haven't gotten Friday the 13th new box set. Have you?
I have the DVD box set that came out some years ago that came with the miniature mask. And so I've actually been getting that mask signed by different Jasons. No, I don't really invest a lot in Blu-rays right now, mostly because I'm currently out of a Blu-ray player and my DVD player is not hooked up. And, replacing everything with Blu-ray that I've already had on DVD gets a little pricey. I've got kids in college, so like it gets a little pricey. But I'm stoked about Ghost Ship. I might invest in Ghost Ship because Ghost Ship has one of the greatest opening scenes of a horror movie. It's one of my absolute favorites.
And a lot of you guys are commenting about going to different haunts in your area. You know, that's one of the things that's going on right now is a lot of haunted attractions have been able to open up. They've been able to successfully execute plans all throughout the United States on how to safely open up these haunts to scare you, but at the same time be safe, because safety is number one. You know.
Absolutely. Definitely. I know here recently they opened the LA Haunted Hayride, and it's a drive-through experience now as opposed to like I think before you would literally be on the back of like a wagon with hay and go through the experience that way. So I've seen a lot of really cool videos and pictures of it. And if you're from SoCal, I'm sure you've heard of it. So there's that going on too.
Robert said, "Can't wait to see all the Mad Monster family getting back together. It's always like a family reunion." Yep, we go to party hard.
That's my boss man right there. Hey, what's up, boss man?
I mean, it's going to be exciting. And we're going to do a Facebook Live panel too, if everything works out, where it's me, you, Mark, and Levi, you know, people that y'all guys see on here. Like I said, would you guys see us hang out? I mean, come up and let's hang out. I mean, it's going to be, this is what it's all about. And, you know, I've been probably like a lot of you guys kind of in a horror funk. You know, I've been kind of ticked off because the world's changing, and it's upsetting in certain ways that the world's changing. Cinestate just closed down. I think it's Cinestate. I forget the name of the company. They own Regal. They just closed down like 400 or 500 theaters. And then every movie's being delayed, and it's like there is nothing to watch right now.
Definitely. And movies, you want to, I mean, myself, we've talked about it before, where I'm all about that movie theater experience and going and when the lights go down and that giant screen and popcorn, I miss it so much. One of my friends went to see Tenet last night in a movie theater, and he went all the way to San Diego, and there was like, they spaced out and everything, and he was like overjoyed to be inside of a movie theater again. I don't get me wrong, I love the drive-in, but there's something about going to the movies, and I miss it.
Yeah, I like the drive-ins better. I just don't people well a lot of times when it comes to strangers sitting in a theater. It always seems like I get the bad bunch. You know, it's like I get the guy that wants to play Candy Crush with the sound on. You know, the person's the one to throw popcorn back there. You know, and I'm just like, yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I understand that the loud eaters actually make me crazy. Close your mouth when you chew.
Yeah, and then I like it's like when people start carrying on conversations in theaters, you know. But it's I wish that Bloomhouse would have had or Blumhouse. I call them Bloomhouse because I really don't give a damn. I wish they'd have dropped that Halloween on VOD.
Yeah.
I think they would have made a crap ton of money because there's nothing for people to watch. I mean, Spiral got delayed. I just saw an article. I think Terrifier's getting delayed. I thought Terrifier was coming out on VOD anyway. So, I mean, I didn't know that was dependent on theatrical. It may or may not, but it's like, y'all guys release some stuff. Stop holding on to it.
It would have been nice to have like a for real. I mean, I dig that all the classics are kind of being shown right now, and at like the drive-ins or streaming, there's some excellent movies streaming. I just watched like Prom Night 2, the Hello Mary Lou movie. I dig those like the old 80s stuff. But it would have been nice to have a new release. Like, I think there's some local theaters that are showing. Fathom Events is bringing about like Friday the 13th. That's this weekend, and then Psycho is going to be playing. But I can't travel like 2 counties away to see a movie. So it would have been nice to have something new. I think if we can be on airplanes, that maybe we should be able to be in more theaters. That's just my opinion.
Well, I think too that the film companies have to have the wherewithal to just put the movies out there.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's just I'm getting desperate. I'm watching horror movies on Tubi. I mean, damn, I ain't never even really turned on Tubi. I did watch Nurse Ratchet. What did you think of Ratchet? Have you
I
seen it?
actually haven't watched it yet, but I'm fascinated. I want to have a day where I can just dedicate to watching Ratchet. And well, first I want to watch Cuckoo's Nest, and then I'll watch Ratchet.
Yeah, you don't need to watch Cuckoo's Nest.
Well, no, I've seen it before. I just like to bring everything together.
Yeah. If you guys have watched Ratchet, let us know what you think. Drop a comment and let us know. Did you like it? Did you not? What have you guys been watching out there? You know, I've been working with these guys on that Top Secret Kane Hodder project, so I haven't really been watching much. I know they dropped a trailer for, I think it was a trailer, a teaser, a poster for the new Craft. That was one movie you probably shouldn't remake. You know,
That was that was rough. I was not enjoying that, and I try not to be elitist about movies that came out in my era or came out before. Like, oh no, don't touch that or don't remake that. And I understand that it's supposed to be a sequel, but I just really kind of it was a little rough to watch, just a little forced.
Levi says, I still think that Halloween Kills probably has a lot of problems, and they are using COVID as an excuse to have time to try and fix its problems. I agree with you, Levi. I think those guys don't know how to make a Halloween movie. And what they're probably going to end up doing is borrowing from the other parts. The granddaughter's going to end up being like the new Michael Myers.
Yeah, we talked about that. Maybe they didn't have enough material for 2 additional movies, and so it's being stretched thin.
I don't
Could
know.
be hard to say.
I think the problem's in the script, but anyway. Like you said, we talked about it. Liz said the Craft and Witches are coming out, but I'm not thrilled about them.
Angelica Houston as the Grand Witch is just something to behold, and I love Anne Hathaway, but that was another like classic that I kind of could have done without a remake.
Jim said saw the original Bloody Valentines the other night on Pluto. Vicky says hello all. Hello, Vicky. Scott said I started it but couldn't get into it. Levi said The Witches is being sent to HBO Max is heartbreaking. The new one should have been seen in theaters. And Vicky says, I missed you. We missed you too. And Richard says, yep, The Craft looks like a sequel. Not sure about it yet. You know, and I mean, right now, I mean, if somebody had a halfway decent horror movie to put out there and get the word out, people would watch it, I think.
Oh heck yeah, heck yeah! As a community, we're dying for something, anything. So there's only nostalgia can only go so far. Need some kind of new blood.
Yeah, I mean, there is one movie that I typically don't watch. I watch horror movies all year,
Absolutely.
but there's one horror movie that I never watch until October.
Okay, what's yours?
Trick or Treat.
That's mine. That's mine. I every now and then I might watch it at a different time, but Hocus Pocus and Trick or Treat are ones that I watch. I wait for the fall, the Halloween.
And then, like, I have a Saw weekend and watch all the Saws. And then probably have, like, a Texas Chainsaw Massacre weekend. But I turned Texas Chainsaw Massacre on as background noise. Same thing with House of a Thousand Corpses, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Keep that running while I'm working on people.
Yeah, I like to have well, not just movies on, but like commentaries. And I listen to it like it's a radio show or like a podcast, and just because I know the movies so well, so it's easy to kind of follow along. I started out the Halloween season with like a Phantasm marathon, and then like Return of the Killer Tomatoes, some schlock.
Viper said, what's the scariest film you've seen? What's the scariest one?
The one that scared me the most, well, I mean, The Exorcist terrified me as a kid, and I've said it before, The Entity is perhaps the scariest movie that I've ever seen. And then earlier, I tried to watch one and face my fears because I remember it from being a kid, and it just scared the living crap out of me so much. I'm like, I'm a grown up, I'm going to watch it today, but my fella's not here, and I got scared again. So The Hitcher, Rutger Hauer and The Hitcher. Just really, I'm sorry?
Don't he put some fingers and some French fries in that one?
Yes, and like being a kid watching that, that's just like not the fries. So, but just it's so startling and like really something that could happen. And so it was just so frightening. So I'm waiting for him to get here in a bit so I can power through and be a grown up and watch that movie.
See, I've watched when I think of the scariest movie I've seen, I'd say The Exorcist, because that's no matter how old you get, it's still disturbing on some level. But as a kid, it's like, I mean, it's holy crap. But the thing that got me that is like my own personal worst nightmare is the human centipede.
Ooh, I
Because I
still
know there's some crazy sucker out there that would love to dart a pig clown and try to sew something to me or sew me to somebody, and that ain't gonna happen. I'm gonna be like Steven Seagal. I'm hard to kill. I ain't going on like that. Not gonna happen.
oh, just the concept of that just freaked me out.
I could be shot, stabbed, whatever, but don't try to sew my mouth to a booty. That doesn't say feed them. No, sir, Reed Bob. That is the scariest crap literally crap that I ever seen. Nope.
With a face like that, clearly you would be the head of the centipede.
But still, I don't want nobody sewed to my booty hole.
This is a valid point. Totally valid point.
Hey, you guys rediscovered a new horror movie since nothing's new out.
Well, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to mention that, like I said, The Hitcher is something that I was watching. No, I watch horror movies all year long. I can't think of one that I've rediscovered. How about you?
I kind of rediscovered just some like lower budget stuff that I had been putting off watching. Nothing really, The Girl in the Photograph. That was pretty good for a lower budget movie. There's something that I have forgot about and rewatched. I mean, it's hard because I rarely not watch horror movies. I mean, I watch Power, 50 Cent's new show. I love that show. Power Book 2 is out right now. That's about the only non-horror thing I watch on a consistent basis. But no, I mean, I saw Drag Me to Hell the other day. That I flipped through, and it's funny because it always is. The people at Amazon and Netflix must think I'm like a serial killer psychopath because recommended movies, they recommend the most disturbing stuff, and I'm like, I already seen it. I did watch some Troops. They got on Netflix the old school cold cases. I've watched some of that. Those I like true crime stuff.
Right.
Levi says Hocus Pocus was number 2 at the box office this weekend.
Oh, right on.
Jim says Texas Chainsaw was super scary to me the first time.
That's understandable. It could be a freaky movie.
Daniel,
you know what? Sorry. Go ahead. Now, Phantasm 4. Yes, go ahead. You want to talk about Phantasm? Go. So I actually just caught Tales of Halloween. It came on automatically after Prom Night 2 ended, and it was my first time watch, and that one was actually pretty fun. Seemed a little trick or treatish for me, but it still was a good time.
Yeah. Viper says I find no movie scary. That's true. I haven't watched something that really scared me in a long time.
I mean, one of the scariest things I've ever seen in a movie when I was a kid was probably Large Marge's reveal in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. That stayed with me for a while.
Carlos says, love the new Power series. We love it too. I like Method Man and Mary J. Blige doing good. Jim says not really too scary, but I rediscovered the Hitchhiker series.
Oh wow, I haven't heard about that in a long time.
I've been wanting to watch the Wolf Creek series, but every time I start it, I'm like, just can't get into it.
Oh, that was one that freaked me out. Actually, I watched that first movie and no, that was really terrifying.
Speaking of Hitcher, I actually like the Platinum Dunes remake of it. Sean Bean is excellent. I agree with you. Platinum Dunes did some really good remakes. You know, I wish they would kind of, if you're going to remake it, might as well let Platinum Dunes get back into business. Eric says, what would you guys say is the best new horror film you've seen in the last 3 years?
Hmm. Ready or Not was pretty good.
That was probably the best movie of 2019. You know, I think 2019 was a horrible year for horror. Ready or Not was the best one, so that kind of shows you what 2019 was like. And then all these big fancy horror blogs that think they know everything was saying that Joker was the best horror movie and Joker was a horror movie. I'm like, no, it's a character study movie. It's not a horror movie. Stop trying to lump stuff in there because we ain't got nothing good, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I
That was,
haven't really. There's
mhm.
nothing really that come out. I mean, I was really optimistic that Halloween was going to be good. I kind of like Us. I like the idea of Us, but it really didn't. I didn't like the Hands Across America. You know,
I mean, speaking of the Halloween movie, I mean, we had a whole show about like Halloween 2018. I personally loved that one. So, but I really like that one. The Babysitter I thought was pretty good. That's another Samara Weaving movie, like Netflix. Well, no, Ready or Not got wide release, but Netflix, and I thought that those were pretty good. I liked Annabelle too. It's more of a ghost story, but it was spooky. It was genuinely spooky.
I would say the Annabelle Comes Home. I like that. That was one of the ones I really liked, and it was the guy that have wrote all the Annabelles. Actually, was the guy that directed that, so they kind of got it right this time.
It,
You know,
it worked for me. It was really spooky. One of my girlfriends and I were here watching it at like midnight one night, and we were genuinely freaked out, even though I'd already seen it like 7 times. So I like a movie that can consistently scare me.
Marissa says True Blood is a great show.
I agree for the first few seasons, and then they totally like went left, and I was over Sookie and her nonsense.
Daniel says Thackeray Binks is my favorite. Jim says also been catching the old unsolved mysteries. Yep. Liz says watch Fatal Attraction for the first time. Dude, she was nuts.
Oh heck yeah!
Yeah, Fatal Attraction, if you're thinking about cheating, Fatal Attraction is probably the one you need to go back and rewatch before you think about kind of cheating around.
Yeah,
Vicky says the only thing that's scary today is the news. You right on that one.
no kidding.
Says, what would you guys say is the best horror film or TV series you've seen? We talked about that. There really hadn't been, The Haunting of Hill House was a very good series that I would say did really well in the last 3 years. That was kind of doing, and I like Mary Ann that was on Netflix too.
What was it? I really loved Penny Dreadful when that was on the first season of Penny Dreadful. I love them bringing about the classic characters and like spinning them, weaving them all together. I really enjoyed that one. Um, let's see, what else was there? Oh man, I had something else on the tip of my tongue and I forgot. Not much of a multitasker. I tell my boyfriend all the time, kind of cute, kind of dumb.
Scott says not hard, but lots of gore. The Boys is pretty good. I haven't checked that one out.
Me either, but I've heard really good things.
Andrew says hello, 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 hello. Eric says, would you guys consider The Hunt a horror film? I thought it was great, but I don't know if I'd call it a horror film. I think a lot of films get lumped into the horror genre. I think it was more of you could say it's a survival horror, but I thought it was more like an action movie. I mean, not really action, but like an action drama, maybe. I don't know. It was kind of corny.
Right. And I know Eric is new here. So actually, that was part of our recently I joined Mad Monster because we did a whole A24 films versus Blumhouse films. And so because of that, that's why I watched The Hunt, and it shot right up into my top 5. I absolutely love that movie. And I agree with you, Sergeant Horror, but I think that movie is so great. It's hilarious.
I mean, I think what hurt the movie is they hyped it up so much on the news and they delayed the showing. And then when it come out, you're like, oh, you made all this fuss over this. But if they'd have killed that little pig, I'd have been mad.
Right? Snowball.
Says, I'm in love with Halloween 2018, how Michael came out of the closet, really. Have you seen Ratchet? Loved it? Yep, we were talking about that earlier. Julio says Hostel, that's scary every time. I don't know. I'm more when I watch Hostel, do you empathize when you watch a horror movie, do you empathize with the victim or the killer?
I think it depends on the situation. Like I watched the one Don't Breathe and I didn't empathize with the kids that were the quote unquote victims. I was like, oh, they broke into his house, whatever, kill him. But like in Hostel, it's like, well, I mean, I think it depends because if the characters or the victims are kind of jerks, I kind of end up cheering on the other one. Like Texas Chainsaw 3D is a perfect example of where it's, it's Leatherface. And so you think that he's the villain and he's the bad guy. But no, really, it's the townsfolk that are really the villains and the horrific people. So when the tables turn, he becomes like the hero. So it's hard to say. It's a movie to movie basis.
I always look at that. I always kind of empathize with the killer. I'm like, kill him. Hostile, they pay good money, go in there and kill him.
That's true.
I mean, I didn't find Hostel scary. It was fair. It was probably Eli's best original work.
I will absolutely agree with that. I watched Knock Knock and good Lord. But it Hostel was hard to watch in that the possibility of it being a reality made me apprehensive about travel. And then like when my daughter traveled to Europe, I was like, oh my God, like that could be a thing and she could disappear, a young college student. But yeah, it's just mostly gruesome.
Yeah, daggone well that's probably going on in some countries, I mean, no doubt.
Yeah.
Probably even going on right here in the United States.
I'd agree with that.
Jim says favorite Texas Chainsaw after the first. Mine's the third after the first. I don't like this. I mean, Bill did a great job with the second, both Bill Moseley and Bill Johnson, but I don't like Leatherface as a funny movie. I like it to be just gruesome.
Right. I may get crucified for this. That's okay. I accept it. I actually really liked the remake and the remakes, like that whole the prequel and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That was
really That was Platinum Dunes did that. They did a pretty good job. I liked them too. I can't believe that the old sheriff had passed away. I mean, Lee Ermey?
Or Lee Ermey, yeah.
I mean, but he did a great job in those. I think, I always say it and I always will, because I think that they need to, if they're going to do a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they ought to let Rob Zombie mess with it, because that would be pretty good.
Considering how his Halloweens went, I think that is one that he could really kind of make something of it. I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Liz says the exorcism of Emily Rhodes has me uneasy every daggone time. And Vicky says, I like being on the killer side. You let your mind wander and get rid of some anger. Yep. That's why I kind of like the Velcro experiment. That was a pretty good until it got political at the end, but that was pretty good. I hate movies where somebody gets beats up the whole movie and then all of a sudden they come back and they're a badass. I'm like, really? It's not believable.
Right.
Top 3 Friday the 13th. Mine is 2, 6, and 4. I like 1, 2, and 7.
2 terrified me. I was there, and then I mean, who hasn't seen it? Who's in this audience? But the part where like she's underneath the bed and hiding, and she wets herself. To me, that's a really a horrifying moment because you think if I was in that situation, that's what I would do. I think I would wet myself. So,
I'd wet them. I'd jump up and pee on them. I would escape if I was a counselor. Jason would grab me and I'd pee on him and be like, psst. He'd let me go. He'd be like, ooh, there's pee in here. I got to let you go. Change my clothes.
I really like also 5 because it's got one of the best commentaries I've ever heard. I really, really like that one. And Jason X. I love it. I love Jason X. What is it, liquid nitrogen, when he puts her head in there and smashes it, and like the kid in his like virtual reality is not virtual reality, and he gets killed, and the other chick that gets sucked into space. Those are some really definitive kills that I absolutely like.
Yeah. Dave says Tucker and Dale versus Evil threw me for a loop when the kids turned out to be the bad guys in a sense. That's true. I really liked that movie. I didn't think I would, but I really liked it. And
it's great. Hi, Dave.
Marissa says, never seen Sleepaway Camp. Is it worth the watch? Yes. It's a classic.
Yeah.
We're going to have a classic Sleepaway Camp photo op that I'm not going to discuss anything more about it, but you guys have to come out and see.
Definitely watch it. Yes, definitely watch it. I don't want to say anything.
And Eric says, would you rather see a reboot or sequel when it comes to old films like An American Werewolf in London? And would you prefer practical or CGI effects? Digging the channel. Appreciate it, Eric. I would prefer original horror content to a reboot, but I'm a realist and I understand that the dumb butts at the movie studios say, hey, the exec that knows nothing about horror says, hey, what intellectual properties do we own that we can get for cheap, or what do we got sitting around? And they'll say, oh, we got Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So then somebody like Millennium will snag it up and do Leatherface, the prequel. That was totally unnecessary and not needed. So they're going to continue to reboot just because a certain amount of people are going to go see a Michael Myers or a Jason or whoever they can reboot every time. There's a certain amount of people are going to watch that. So I really don't like it. I mean, there's so many talented filmmakers out there that if they had a budget, they could work and provide a great product for the people. And Hollywood isn't investing in the next generation of talent.
I couldn't agree with you more. That's like The Strangers Pray at Night. It took 10 years for that movie to be made, and that was a solid movie. That was when I think in the last 3 years that was a solid sequel, and it was scary. And I also prefer like original horror, old school horror, and most definitely practical effects. The idea of, say, I know there's been some banter about Phantasm possibly being remade, and I was asked once in a like Q&A what was my favorite practical effect. It's not even because I'm Phantasm420 or because that's my favorite franchise, but the sphere traveling and impaling a man in his head is one of the greatest practical effects I've ever seen. It's in movies, period, considering it was in 1979 that came out. And there's too much CGI these days. It kills the movies.
Well, I think a lot of times these guys rely on CGI because they have a big budget and they're trying to throw people work. A lot of filmmaking is more about throwing your buddies work than it is making an actual good movie. And especially when you're dealing with the studios. But when you got the indie guys can take some very good practical effects, I mean, look at Terrifier has some decent stuff. I mean, he sawed a woman in half, and it looked fairly decent for the budget level that they were on. And there's so much that can be done in the digital age with practical effects that I think it's a loss. It's practical effects, in my opinion, in bigger budget movies is becoming a lost cause. Um, I like The Void. They did a lot of practical effects in that one, kind of a Lovecraftian type of movie. I like their style and how they did that. And I think we also got to get back to what Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, did. They didn't even show any cuts or blood, and it was terrifying. So I like practical effects, and I also like cutting away and using the imagination, seeing the girl pee herself, with her legs shaking, and as you hear a chainsaw, that could be more terrifying than trying to CGI in a monster or a cut. And, monsters are difficult to do, and I think when they do that as CGI, it just comes across corny a lot of times. I mean, I can't recall a CGI scene that I was like, "Oh my god, that was great,"
Oh yeah, I think that's a big part of what killed the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, which, considering the effects, the possibilities that they have now, it stood to possibly be better than the original. And it was so disappointing because it was like too much CGI. And it I don't know, it just kills the good time. When you think of something like The Thing, which is totally effective as practical effects, in comparison, it's just, yeah, I'm more CGI. Excuse me, practical.
Marissa said this is the coolest thing I've watched in forever. Thank you, Marissa. She's like, I found your live stream because it's shared in my horror group. Where can I find both of you? You can find us at Mad Monster. Search Mad Monster Party, or Sergeant Horror, and you will see us up there. Laura says the recent one I found creepy was Goodnight Mommy.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't remember that one. My favorite part is the dancing corpse suit as they're speeding down the highway. Yeah, that's a good scene. Got a lot of comments. We appreciate you guys commenting. Says Dan, you talking Texas too. That was awesome seeing you. What was the guy with the gun's name? Rick the Prick. What about House of Wax, where the blonde chick gets to stick through the brain? And Dave says, "Hey Amanda, Dave said, hey Amanda, did anyone check out Lovecraft Country? For me, it's so good so far. Have you watched it?"
I haven't. No. I've been so busy with vending and doing things like that. I haven't had a chance to really sit and watch anything.
Yeah, I've been in post-production on stuff, and I think a lot of people, if you've never been involved in filmmaking, it is a very fun but tedious process. I mean, when you're going in and there's hundreds and hundreds of hours that's been shot, and you're supervising the different, trying to figure out which is the best takes, which is the best scenes. Jim says, digging the Jason mask behind you.
Thank you.
He says, I saw a post on Facebook, fake movies for board games being turned into horror films. The games were Candyland, Mousetrap, Hungry Hippos, Chutes and Ladders. Yeah, I saw that too. Some of them look better than the real horror movies that are supposedly coming out. Vicky says Paris Hilton was the blonde chick. I think I saw an interview Paris Hilton gave about House of Wax where she said she got PTSD essentially from acting in that movie because, she's billionaire, multi, lap of luxury type and hadn't really been exposed to that type of thing.
If I'm being honest, I've seen that once, and the only reason I watched it was to see her death scene. She was so obnoxious back then, so that was my only motivation for watching.
Yeah, but she sure knew how to eat a Hardee's burger. Daniel says practical effects always. I mean, if you could do it practical, do it. I mean, there's very few occasions in a horror movie, unless maybe you're dealing with some type of monster, but CGI just, It just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah. And even makeup can make a big difference too. Like I'm thinking of Zelda from the original Pet Sematary in comparison to the remake that they did of that. And Zelda is one of the scariest characters in all of horror. She's like, I've seen a picture of her and couldn't sleep that night, and I'm like in my 40s, and she still terrifies me. So
I terrify me. That's about it. Marissa says she's got to go, but I followed y'all's page. Have a terrific night. You have a terrific night too, and thank you for tuning in. I mean, I hate to go back to it, but Friday gonna be in Arizona. If you guys are gonna be there, you guys come by and say hello to me. I'll be walking around, hanging out, doing the daggone thing. I mean, having fun. Because if I'm gonna leave the farm, I'm gonna have a ball.
That's right.
Levi says, fun fact, when we hosted the world premiere of the House of Wax remake at the former Man Village Theater, when right after her character dies, she yelled out her trademark, "That's hot."
Lame.
Lame.
Ugh.
But yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I can't wait to see you there.
And I'm going to come looking for you too. I'll be there in Arizona as well, everybody. So at the Air 1984 booth, come look for me. And apparently hang out with Sergeant Horror.
What is Air 1984? All right. What was that? I'm sorry, I could barely hear you.
Oh, okay. No, we sell pins, original pins, a lot of them based on the artwork of the Olive Knight. So it's a really cool selection of pins. And I mean, there's a special
like pins you stick in a voodoo doll, or pins?
And not that kind of pin, like enamel pins, like horror themed enamel pins. So that's it's really, really cool. And I mean, we have some patches and stuff and some other collectibles and everything that we'll be selling at the booth. And our artist, the Olive Knight's going to be there with us. And my boss man running the RIP experience, RIP, which is the VIP experience. So I'm just holding
crazy. Woo.
I can't wait. I've heard.
Crazy. I can't even. That's like what happens in RIP stays in RIP,
Oh, hey.
It's wild.
That's my kind of party. What day are you coming into town? Or are you going into getting there? We're driving out on Thursday.
Thursday I'll be there that night.
Right.
Probably start drinking tequila.
Hey.
Helps keep my immune and system up. Eric says, could you remember the first film that made you fall in love with the horror genre? Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, and the original Evil Dead.
I'm Phantasm420 for a reason. Phantasm, absolutely. The tall man.
Melissa says, never sleep again, Zelda.
See what I mean? So scary.
Jacob says, hope to see you too. Yeah, you will. We'll be hanging out. Levi says, I got to shut down all the projectors so I can head home. So you guys have a good night. See you Friday. I will see you there.
Friday.
House on Plant. Awesome. Vicky wants to know, what would your opinion be of televising death row inmates? I don't go for that. I don't do the whole getting killed on TV thing. Real life violence like that just it's crazy. I've never seen somebody put to death in the American system, but 10 years in the Marine Corps, I've seen enough real life kind of crazy stuff like that. It don't look like or smell like what you always think it will be. So I don't want to watch that. Like
in Serial Mom, when her son's boyfriend mentions, and she looks in and sees the old lady's been killed, and she says it's brown. It's not like in the movies. It's not like red in the movies when she's talking about the blood. It's not seeing it televised and all of that. That's like medieval. So it's a no from me too.
Yeah. Well, guys, we're going up on finishing off tonight. I got to get ready for the party.
That's right.
You got any last words, Phantasm?
Just it's great to be on here again. As always, I enjoy the conversation, Sergeant Horror. And everybody, thank you for tuning in. We always like to talk horror. Follow Mad Monster, all of that good stuff. I'm Phantasm420. You can come follow me too. I hope to see many of you and meet many of you in person at the convention. We will be safe. Always wear your masks. Everybody, please be safe out there.
Yep, we appreciate you guys watching and taking time out of your schedule and watching. If you guys can come out, come out. If you can't, watch us on the Facebook page. I'm going to be going live Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and it's going to be a crazy, wild, good time. I want everybody to stay safe out there, stay masked up, do all that you can do to keep yourself and your family safe, and celebrate Halloween and horror the best you can. Until next time, Sergeant Horror for Mad Monster. We're out of here.